With thousands of single-use medical devices disposed of into landfill every day, Oliver Hunt saw an opportunity and founded Christchurch-based Medsalv. The goal? To eliminate growing environmental and financial waste in the healthcare sector by reprocessing the single-use devices to be used again. And Oliver joins me now. Good to see you. How did this issue, or rather this opportunity, even come across your radar?
So I was in my final year of uni, and I was doing a Masters of Engineering Management, so that's more of the business side of engineering. I needed a project, so half that course is a project, and I didn't have one, and I ended up in a conversation with my uncle, who's a surgeon, about, this is on the eve of the election, so it's around about the 17th September 2017, and I said, basically, what happens if, we spend more money on healthcare? And he said, to be honest, probably nothing. It's all about efficiency, and if you can find efficiency in health, then you're actually onto something. And then he proceeded to show me all these devices he had, which weren't actually used devices. They were single-use expired because the sterilisation on the packaging had expired. And he said you should look at how to get these back into the system.
What sort of things was he showing you? Like syringes and?
No, they weren't syringes so much as they're actually invasive medical devices. There's a huge range of them. I've actually got a box of them at our office now. That box, and he said there's probably $400,000 worth of equipment in that box.
And it's going to be thrown away.
And it's not worth anything now because the sterilisation's expired.
And even if it's used once, you still thought...
and then if you buy it once, you throw it away anyway. So if you use it once, you throw it away anyway afterwards.
Was that like a eureka moment to you, or was that a case of, I don't know, I sort of get what you're talking about?
I definitely did some qualifying to do that. So I went and talked to the guys who I was looking at getting a project with, and they are in the medical industry as well, and they said, well, yeah, this is something that's done overseas. And so I sort of did some digging, and really, as you can probably appreciate, it's a very niche industry. So there is actually a niche in America that's expanding, and looked at what they are doing, and then it was a case of, okay, where do we start? What's the, what are the easy wins here? And we work with the local hospital on that.
At this stage, I mean, you were a student, you're trying to complete a course, but did you very quickly think, hold on, this is so much more. Actually, I'm obviously interested in the business side, so this could be something for me to get my teeth into professionally.
Yeah, well, I had, throughout uni, obviously doing engineering, you're quite focused on that, but also I had always thought about businesses and things that might be a business, and I never really kind of found one that I thought, yeah, this is actually worth spending a lot of time on. I spent a bit of time on them, but this was one I was like, this is really greenfields for New Zealand and Australia, properly, because even though it had been done at arm's length by companies outside of New Zealand, it really hadn't been done in a meaningful way here.
So the incentive here for you, was this about saving the planet? Was this about saving the health sector millions, or was it about a business opportunity?
I think it's all three, really, because it's obviously a business opportunity, but it's something I'm passionate about. So I spend a lot of time in the outdoors, mountain biking, skiing, surfing, all that sort of stuff. So having something that aligns with my personal values and I can actually drive towards rather than just a pure financial incentive was really of interest to me.
So now here we're talking late 2017, sort of election time. Tell me about the growth since then of Medsalv.
So it was a pretty slow start. We basically went to the hospitals without even any proper proposition and just figured out what the problem was. Going into the hospital, finding out exactly what they're using and then really mapping out what the low-hanging fruit is, and then working with them on that, and then finding the applicable standards, of which there are none in Australia and New Zealand, but pulling together parts of those standards so we can actually have a valid process, and then pushing that through the sales process at the hospitals as well, which is not a very quick process.
Yeah, I mean, so the major stumbling blocks initially would have been the health service, the health sector being sceptical or not really wanting to embrace the idea?
Well, it's an interesting proposition when it's a 23-year-old walking into the hospital and saying, look, I'm going to do this, it's going to be the greatest thing in the world. But luckily in Canterbury, where Medsalv's based, there are a lot of innovative people and there's a lot of innovative ideas coming out of Canterbury, and they're actually getting meaningfully used in the local hospitals. And so that was good, and we found supporters there, which really buoyed us along.
How does the actual business model work there? I mean, is it that they're going to pay you to supply them, or that they supply you with the used or expired equipment, which you then sort of refurbish and sell back?
So firstly, we save the money because we do the collection for them. So we manage the collection from all the hospitals that we service, so they don't have to pay for the waste being collected. That's the first thing. Second thing is we do all the reprocessing and cover that cost, and then we recoup the cost by delivering the devices back at a considerably lower price than the original. So they save some money up front from the supply there. And so that's where the economics go. So it's kind of a cycle, and every time it comes around, we do the processing and we sell it back to the hospital and so on and so forth.
And how much have you managed to get into the market as far as New Zealand as a whole? I mean, Canterbury, they obviously seem on board.
Yeah, so we have got we've got a niche of products, and we've got them into a lot of hospitals rather than having a huge spread of products and having them in one hospital. And so we've taken the approach that we dominate where we can, and really dominate the quality, safety, and do that so we can achieve a proper economy of scale with that product, and then deliver that saving back to the hospital, and then repeat that process at a higher level, and so on and so forth.
You talk about we, so is this you and your original research partners?
So actually, as it started out, it was just me at the start, and then I built, and recognising that I'm an engineer, a mechanical engineer by background, I'm not a microbiologist, built relationships with people in Canterbury who are a lot better at those things than me. So ranging from marketing all the way through to microbiology, which is a fairly broad spectrum. And so they've kind of come along the journey with that.
As a 23-year-old, when you're walking into hospitals, now, having spent the last 18 months actively doing this, has the attitude changed towards you?
Well, I'm 25 now, so that's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is actually understanding that we actually do have a lot of data and validity behind what we're doing, and everything we do has got a seriously large amount of thinking, which is in line with over 30 years of experience from American reprocessors. And so I've actually been to America twice since then and visited those companies.
From my perspective, I would have thought the key concern you would have in building this business would be patient safety.
Yeah, patient safety is the number one thing. So it doesn't matter how sustainable the business is. If it's patient safety isn't there, then it's not a business that I'm interested in being in. So everything we've done is all about patient safety. Our systems, our processes, it's all about patient safety. And furthermore, it's about staff safety with the collection side of the devices. And so from the get-go, it's all been about that in the way of systems, and we've validated that as we've gone through, and we're now pushing that through with a very stringent quality system, which is third-party accredited.
So what's the plan from here?
I think the plan is to continue developing new devices, but we've obviously got a suite of devices that we're already doing, and so we want to push them out to as many hospitals as we can at the same time, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Is there an exit plan?
I don't think we have an exit in mind at the moment. We've got so much work to do before we actually get to a level where I can say we've actually made a proper, long-standing sustainable impact on sustainability.
What's the one key learning which you've taken away from this? Because it's been such a short time frame.
One key learning. I think probably that the first thing is actually get your systems in place early. Now, obviously, if you build a process too early and you haven't got it formulated properly, then you're going to really hamstring yourself. But once you have the formulation of a process and a system in place, really document that. Because if you ever want to bring people into the business, which you obviously have to do to scale, and you haven't got a documented system for how to do that, it becomes very, very difficult very quickly, and it relies on communication. And obviously communication is key, but having a system to back that up is very, very important, and it makes your communication better.